Hey everybody, welcome to your October Central Phoenix market update. We are looking at the data as we head into the fourth quarter. This will probably realistically be our last really positive data that we see. We do definitely see a slowdown in the market in the fourth quarter. November, December, and beginning of January tend to be a little bit slow. But as you'll see from the data here that we're going to take a look at, that we've got kind of a mixed bag this month. We have had a lot of dire news coming out of summer. It felt like we're still not seeing price increases or anything like that, but we are starting to see kind of a flattening out of the numbers, I would say. So a little bit of a positive there. I feel like things have gotten a little bit better. Rates have dropped a little bit. We're not seeing the 3% or the crazy stuff that we were seeing before a couple of years ago, but we have seen a drop somewhat. So let's get into the numbers. Starting off with the number of active homes, you can see that this number has been dropping basically since it peaked in June. Has increased a little bit over the last few months, but overall we've seen about a 15% drop since that June peak. This actually is kind of a good thing. It brings the supply down closer to where demand is at right now. For pending sales, you can see that this bottomed out at the end of summer and has been kind of gradually climbing since that time. Still a little bit over half of the summer peak, but it's nice to see that number begin to increase some. For new listings, you can see that this number has more or less been flat. There's some volatility there, but if you look at the trend line, it's basically flat for the entire year. Homes sold of the last 30 days. This gives us a more of a short-term outlook at what's going on in the market. You can see that this number has gradually declined since early summer. It's down about 40% since the spring peak. Homes sold over the last 6 months. This is our more stable long-term metric of the activity that's going on in the market. This has steadily declined since August. It was climbing most of the year up until August. And some of those spring numbers have dropped out. We're going to see that number drop a little bit. It's still higher than it was in March, so no huge alarm at this point. Average price drop. Now this number corresponds and kind of gives us an idea of what the seller confidence in the market is and with their list prices. The higher than this number is, the more that sellers have had to drop their prices. So a higher number is bad. We had a huge drop off in this number in July, as I have talked about quite a bit on this channel. We had a big drop in listings in July as a lot of sellers seem to get frustrated with the activity in their listing and canceled. But now that number, after that drop off, that number is beginning to climb again. Average sale price over the last 30 days. Now, this is one of those moments where this graph is relatively useful. This is the short-term look at prices and where they're going. This gives us an idea of where prices are heading more at a long term. You can see that this number was dropping kind of more or less throughout the year, but has kind of flattened out over the last month or two. So hopefully that is a trend that we continue to see. We will probably continue to see the average over this last 6 months and the average over the course of this year drop. However, the fact that these have flattened out bodes well for the market in a longer term picture. Average sales price over the last 6 months. You can see that this number has obviously been dropping. It has dropped actually about 10% this year from a high from about 540,000 to about 485,000 now. This isn't outside of the average for the Valley, despite having a large number of condos in Central Phoenix. The condo market has definitely been hit a little harder. The trend downward does seem to be slowing, though, hopefully, at least over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully that trend continues. Closed price per square foot, we see this number has dropped pretty steadily since July. Usually this number holds up pretty well in Central Phoenix because our homes do tend to be a little bit smaller. However, because of the steady drop in prices overall, we are beginning to see a drop in this number as well. Last but not least, we have the days on market, both active and closed. This is an interesting picture. The closed numbers are steadily climbing while the actives are kind of generally staying the same. What this tells me is that we are beginning to hit a new normal. Homes are still selling. They're just taking longer now. We're kind of seeing what that number is. It looks like roughly around the 120-day mark, so 3 to 4 months to sell. Just something to prepare yourself for if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, you don't need to panic if you see a home with 120 days on the market. That is relatively normal. If you're an agent, this is beneficial to you because you can prepare your clients for what they can expect. There you have it, folks. your market update for Central Phoenix. This is the overall market for Central Phoenix for October. You can see there are some reasons to be optimistic with these numbers. Not all bad anymore. We are starting to see some leveling out, some new normal in the market. So this is a good thing. As I alluded to earlier, we will probably see these numbers drop a little bit over the next couple of months because it is fourth quarter. I feel like, and my fingers are crossed, that these numbers are setting us up for a little better year next year than we had this year. If you have any questions for me, you can message me in the comments or call me or text me at 480-694-7643. If you're interested in getting these updates regularly, I also do a market update for Coronado neighborhood. You can always like or subscribe, and thank you for watching.